morning and welcome to this press conference where we have the entire Council of Ministers present, with the exception of course, with our Minister Plenipotentiary, Mrs. Josiane Artson, who is in the Netherlands. But we are here this morning to give the press a briefing on current matters that concerns all the ministries and, of course, the current topics that is very hot, that is being discussed now pretty much in the media, not only on St. Martin, but in the media throughout the Kingdom of the Netherlands. We will start off by going to my left, and we ask Minister Claret Connor, Minister responsible for VROMI, to make his presentation and to provide some details on what's happening in his ministry.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister, and a pleasant good day to everyone and the press present. First and foremost, I would like to extend a warm, basically congratulations to this Council of Ministers because of the steadfastness that we have been able to display to the general public with the responsibilities that have been given to us, and also to assure the public that every single day when we come into our offices to work on behalf of the people, it is done in an atmosphere of seriousness. It is done in an atmosphere of commitment to country, and it is done with the people's best interests at heart. With regards to the VROMI ministry, I'm sure that motorists have noticed in recent days the preparation work that is being carried out on the roads right now. We are getting ready to undertake some road work repairs, and I ask on behalf of the department that the public be very vigilant in terms of their driving on the streets, on the public roads, to avoid the areas that have been prepped right now for these repairs. Another discussion that I've had and will continue having with regards to, in particular, the Front Street and Back Street, is the planning for some maintenance on Front Street and Back Street. As you know, the situation in that area is dire, and we are working on looking at getting the surface repaired temporarily for the season, and then looking forward to 2016, where a more extensive repair work would be done. That will of course come with some inconvenience to certain areas, but as usual, what we would attempt to do is to do this with least interruption as possible, and probably have some of the work done at night. And also in recent months that individuals were pleasantly surprised to see us open the channel at Great Bay to let water in from the ocean into the pond. This was done as a measure to increase the level of water in the Great Salt Pond. It was done as a pilot to see if, with the intentions of the department, if it would work. It has. And now that we have, now that it has worked, there's a few things that we have to look at in the future in terms of controlling the live species that live in the water, and control that to some degree. But what can happen in the future is that at different times in the year, the seawater would be able to pump into Great Bay and through Great Bay, into the Great Salt Pond, and through the Great Salt Pond back into the Great Bay Beach, so that the quality of the water in the pond can improve. Obviously, the one of the sticking issues that we have is the sargassum grass that has been throughout the Caribbean, I would say, in the last year to two, and in particular in the Don Beach and Oyster Pond area. This has been an ongoing issue. Government has discussed this with the Oyster Bay Resort, and we are together looking at ways in which we can address this issue. Obviously, with the amount of grass that is present on the beach right now, even cleaning the beach every day doesn't help, but yeah, we do what we have to with these situations. I will answer questions if they're posed. I think the issue of the political situation that we have right now, I'm sure there will be some questions to that. So I'll leave that up to if there are any questions in pertaining to that. So thank you, Prime Minister.
Thank you. Minister Sams?
Yeah. I would like to say good morning to one and all. This one? Yeah. On taking office, my mission was and continues to be to stimulate sustainable economic growth and development of St. Martin through the development and implementation of sound economic policies, project programs that will serve to enhance our tourism product, transportation sector, and telecommunications sector. The specific objectives I envisioned during my tenure as minister included economic growth, economic relief, tourism development, proper infrastructure development, and in that I mean the transport and telecommunications sector, control, regulation, and enforcement, and this would have been done through our legislations. We also envisioned information campaign and service improvement. These programs are being currently worked on. To achieve these objectives and considering the fiscal situation of government, my ministry has embarked on a number of initiatives that included legislative amendment and policy developments. These initiatives are still work in progress. However, just to name a few, I'd mentioned we were busy with the development of an economic plan for 10 to 15 years. This plan covers 7 sectors of the community, of the economy of St. Martin. We were also busy setting up a gaming control board. And this gaming control board, considering the negative effects of money laundering and other illicit financial activities, through my ministry, we consider this initiative imperative for the control and regulation of our gaming industry. We are also busy with the professionalizing of the overall public transportation industry and control and enforcement, the increase in the taxi tariff of the taxi owners, and to regulate the economic activities on the beaches of St. Martin. And this was being done through a revised beach policy. We were busy with the legislation of the Competition Authority and Consumer Protection. This we envision will stimulate fair competition and consequently decrease cost of living, while at the same time create awareness for consumers from unscrupulous business practices. Additionally, over the past few weeks, a number of initiatives were taken to support small businesses, making them more competitive and sustainable. This was done in collaboration with the EU-funded program, namely COSME. I would like to make it known that under this program, a number of activities will be initiated to further assist small businesses on the island. With regards to tourism, the initiatives that we had, or that we were currently working on, was a comprehensive tourism awareness plan. And the goal of this was to increase awareness to the general populace of St. Martin about the importance of tourism for the island and the roles they play in sustaining it. We are also busy with the taxi driving ongoing training. And the goal of this was that all taxi drivers know the importance and values of customer service and the knowledge of the island as a product. In what we are also busy with were the immigration training officers. And the goal of this was for the officers to have more knowledge of what the island have to offer and the importance of being the face that welcome our visitors to the friendly island. With regard to the marketing agencies, we were busy with a bidding process and the selection of a marketing agency for the following destinations. This was the South American market, the North American market, and Canada. We were also busy with that of Europe. Now, once the selection is made, a 2-year contract will be awarded starting January 2016 to 2018. We were also busy with a cooperative marketing campaign, and the goal of this was to start the following. This with Sunwing, that's 5 charters from Canada per week. Arkafly, that's a new flight from Holland. And Copa Airlines. When I was in South America, let's say 2 or 3 weeks ago, I met with Copa Airlines, and there we were talking about how we could increase our flights to St. Martin. I think it's also important for us to speak to Delta Airlines, something we would have liked to do. And then another thing we were busy with was the major trade shows. And the goal of this is that our presence at the following trade shows would send a message to the operators that we are serious about our product and the consumer information on why we are in the top destination of St. Martin. With regards to working with Anguilla and the French side, we have a working agreement going with them, and the goal of this was to pull our resources together as the 3 islands. We would have more money for promotion. This joint venture was present in Brazil, Argentina, and will continue in Panama and Colombia. A meeting is scheduled on Friday to further discuss the working relationships. The STA is another project that we were busy with. This is the St. Martin Authority, the St. Martin Tourism Authority. Now, this has been in the making for quite some time, and we have started a recruitment process of our consultant that will chart the course forward in this transition. Other updates, it's the BTP. I'm sure that you've been reading in the newspaper about all the development that's going on there. My ministry has taken note of the developments at BTP, and we have prepared the findings of the General Audit Chamber, which will serve as the basis for going forward to correct the shortcomings on the part of government going forward. And the talks are already underway and are very productive. With regards to BTP, this is another government-owned company. My ministry finalized the process to get the Bureau of Intellectual Properties, which is BTP, operational, BIP, yeah, operational, where all the necessary decrees, and we also appointed Director Mr. Sanford to lead and develop the body, which is a ZBO. The BTP will be yet another government body that will generate funds for government, and it is a revenue-generating body. So far, those are the things that my ministry were busy with. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Sams. Mr. Hassing?
Thank you.
Most important man with the money.
Without money, you mean?
Without money.
Thank you, Prime Minister, and good morning to everybody. I give you a little update on the financial affairs of the government, of the country. As a matter of fact, I had a phone call of Mr. Bakker this morning. As you know, he's the chairman of the CFT. And of course, he was very much interested what the status of affairs is concerning the instruction that the council, the Rijksministerraad has given us. I told him that we working on the instruction normal, as usual, with a lot of energy and exactly to make sure that we solve the problems that led to the instruction. I also told him that from the beginning we had said that in principle we don't have much problem with the contents of the instruction. We have problem with the timing and the terms, and that's still the case. Yes, too many things need to happen within a too short period, but I'm optimistic that some of them will be reached. And for instance, we're still looking at the budget amendment for 2015. That one is went to the Council of Advice, came back. We're making an additional report to it, and then it can go to the Parliament. We have, of course, the main issue of the payment arrears with APS, SZV, and some other creditors. We're working diligently on it. And we're making steps to solve those problems. Of course, not because of the amount involved in 1 year. We have to take more time for that. Other areas like legislation and the pensionable age, I understand that is going to be handled in Parliament. And the legislation concerning the pension premium, that's also being prepared and going to Parliament, hopefully still before the end of this year. If you look at the budget 2016, we have serious challenges there. I don't know, but I think I told you already that the ministries have submitted their budgets for a total amount of about 510 million guilders. If you realize that the income for instance, for 2014 or 15 is approximately 440, then you will realize we have a big gap between income and expenses of 60 to 70 million guilders, 70 million guilders. That needs to be solved, and of course, it should be a combination of income measures, but also cost-cutting measures. And one of the main cost items in our budget is still personnel expenses. It exceeds more 200 million, which basically is 10% of our GDP, which is quite high. So that area needs to be worked on. Other cost-cutting measures need to be dealt with. And of course, what is very important, we have to look at extra income. The potential of the island is always said is much higher than the government is at the moment collecting. It was said that, for instance, the average of income in the Caribbean is about 21% of GDP. We collecting about 18%, so we have there already a challenge to work on. But I think with some extra effort, yes, with assistance at the tax office and extra projects, we will be able to deal with that gap. On the other hand, as my colleague already said, there is a focus on economic growth, yes, and there are many potential projects on the island that should be able to bring in quite some money into the coffers of governments. So the budget 2016 was yesterday handled in the Council of Ministers. It's going to the Council of Advice, and in the meantime also to the College of Financial Supervision. We are awaiting then their advices and recommendations. We expect that they will advise us that we are too optimistic in income realization, which means that we have to further cut cost. And in the meantime, we're working on that to see where there are other areas that we can deal with that. If we look at the financials 2014, they were finalized too, and being now audited by the General Audit Chamber. Also in 2014, we have a deficit of about 16 million guilders, which becomes a little standard. If you look over the years 2010 to 2014, and we make an average of 15 to 60 million guilders deficit. That means that we have a total accumulated deficit of more than 60 million up to now. And you know that also one of the instructions of the Rijksministerraad is that we have in future years to compensate for that loss. So if you talk about a certain cost level, yes, we also have to add to that cost level and compensation for previous year's losses. That makes it even more challenging for us to balance the budget. Last but not least, we're busy with preparing the third quarterly report. It's a little bit too early to give the figures about that. We hope to finalize it by the end of the month. We want to do that a little earlier than we normally should do because of the importance of the budget 2016 and the instruction. We want to show that we are going somewhere. Again, we have tremendous challenges forward. We have to take measures, serious measures, to increase income and to control our expenses. Thank you, Prime Minister.
Thank you, Minister Hassink. We start with the Minister of Justice. Continue with the Minister of Justice.
Thank you, Prime Minister. One of the biggest concerns that the Ministry of Justice is involved with at this moment is naturally the amount of crime that is happening on the island. However, the ministry cannot act based on perception alone. It also has to act based on facts. And the fact of the matter is that what is happening is that within a short period of time, a number of criminal activities have taken place. And what is the most shocking of it is the violence that has been involved in it. The figures do not demonstrate an increase as compared to 2014. What the figures do demonstrate is that the use of violence by criminals in St. Maarten is constantly increasing. That cannot be blamed on the police. That has to do with problems within our society that have to be dealt with in a different fashion, in a preventative fashion. And that concerns, to a great degree, taking measures to save as much of our young people from going into the criminal path, because the mentality today has hardened terribly, and we need jointly to do something about it. And the ministers responsible for that area have my full support, because prevention in this case is more important and much valuable to saving lives and keeping the government from spending gigantic amounts of money on prosecuting, investigating, and incarcerating citizens of St. Maarten. In 2014, there were 10 murders. And to this day, there are 7. And I exclude the 2 deaths in the Panam case because that is not murder, that is defense. The Dutch note we are defense against an attack by criminals. But outright murders have been 7 until now. And in a meeting I had with the police on Monday past, we believe that the murders that are taking place at this moment has to do with eliminations within the criminal organizations on the island for whatever reason. Still, if you extrapolate the amount that have died until now as a result of murder, the amount will only come up to a total of 7. But naturally, we cannot establish that as a fact, because as long as the eliminations continue between the criminal gangs, that can increase between now and the end of the year. I would like to say at this point that I have great admiration and respect for what the police force is doing at this moment with limited means. At the beginning of 2014, the police force had the equivalent of 200 full-time workers. That amount has dropped due to the financial problems that we see our country in to 30 because vacancies have not been filled in that period. And as you know, the government has announced that those 30 vacancies has to be filled. Not going to be an easy task with the limitations that the Committee for Financial Supervision placed on us. But I've stated before, and I will repeat it and underline it again, the country, St. Martin, has the right to protect its people. That is the most basic responsibility of a government, and to protect its economy. And as the Dutch say, you cannot ask the police force to break iron with bare hands. You need people. Right now, a small group of officers have done tremendous work in tackling the crime that is taking place in St. Martin. Most of the crime cases that you have been heard have led to arrests by the police force. And those that have not yet led to arrest, the police has indications where and how to look, and will lead to more arrests. The message that is sent with this is that you're not going to easily escape prosecution on this island, and investigation on this island, no matter what, because the attitude of our officers is that of, we will put an end to this. At least we cannot put an end to people trying to kill each other, but we can try as much as possible to make sure that you pay for the things that you do. As far as what we call robberies is concerned with weapons, the expectation is that the total amount will approximately be the total amount as last year. It was about 150, 155 last year, and it's going to be about the same if we extrapolate the amounts that have happened until now to the end of the year. The police force says that the measures that were taken after the death of Benjamin have led to a decrease in activities of criminal persons and organizations in Phillipsburg. So as you know, we have initiated joint patrols of the different uniformed services, and those joint patrols have led to stopping people and collecting weapons and preventing persons from having too easy an opportunity to commit crimes in the Phillipsburg area. So the measures are working. As you may have noticed on the road, there are increased patrols of the officers in different areas at different hours. They're not predictable, because if they were, you know what would happen. So that is what is happening at the moment. We're not making a lot of noise about it, but the work continues, and the officers put their lives on the line on a daily basis in this regard.